Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you're doing well. Today we are going to talk about security in the 21st century and what is traditional and non-traditional security approaches and how it is relevant in modern times, international relations. So let's understand first of all the concept of security. Security has always played a critical role in determining a country's foreign policy. So whenever a country formulate a foreign policy, it cannot ignore the aspect of security. So it has to keep into account its national security interest at home and abroad. We want security, and we fear, loathe, and shun insecurity. We don't like insecurity. So every country believe in security. Security in any objective sense measure the absence of threats to acquired values, and in a subjective sense, the absence of fear that such values will be attacked. So every country believe in security, and they believe that their sovereignty, integrity, internal and external independence is not hurt. So that is the idea behind security. Security is taken to be about the pursuit of freedom from threat and the ability of states and societies to maintain their independent identity. So every country pursue that particular goal. They want to ensure their independent identity, and they want to survive in the international system. Their fundamental, functional integrity against forces of change, which they see as hostile. So they plan, they execute strategies just to prevent themselves from any hostile intent or aggressive behavior of other states. The bottom line of security is survival. So ultimate goal of each and every state is survival. So for that matter, that state takes actions, whether sometimes they take aggressive actions, sometimes they take some defensive actions. But it also reasonably includes a substantial range of concerns about the conditions of existence. So primarily the ultimate goal of a state is survival. During the Cold War, security studies was composed mostly of scholars interested in military statecraft. So they believe that anything related to military would be regarded as security. If military force was relevant to an issue, it was considered a security issue. And if military force was not relevant, that issue was consigned to the category of low politics. Security has been a banner to be flown, a label to be applied, but not concept to be used by most security studies specialists during the Cold War. So ultimate idea was that security would only be those concepts or ideas which are related to military or use of force. So that's why we have seen that during the Cold War, the countries, the Soviet Union and the Americans, they were involved in building up their capabilities and adding up more and more weapons, and that was the idea which was considered as security. And both states, they were involved in building up of arms. So security for whom? That is the idea which you need to understand. Since there are many states and individuals, and since their security is interdependent, Buzan argues that the search for a referent object of security must go hand in hand with that for its necessary conditions. The individual, some, most, or all individuals, the state, some, most, or all states, the international system, some, most, or all international systems. The choice depends on the particular research question to be addressed. That security for whom? You want security for a state, you want security for number of states, and you want security for alliances. So that is the question needs to be addressed. Another aspect which we must understand is the security for which values. Individuals, states, other social actors have many values, for example. These may include physical safety, economic welfare, autonomy, psychological well-being, and so on. The concept of national security has traditionally included political independence and territorial integrity as values to be protected. So every country focus on these two main things: political independence and territorial integrity. So whatsoever they take decisions in their foreign policy, the focus is always to protect their political independence, and territorial integrity from any external aggression. So that is the idea behind security. The former American Secretary of Defense, Harlan Brown, for example, includes the maintenance of economic relations with the rest of the world is also part of the economic security. How much security? That is also another question which needs to be understood. Bernard Brodie cited as an example a statement by General Jacob L. Devers, national security is a condition which cannot be qualified. We shall either be secure or shall be insecure. So there is not in between. We cannot have partial security. If we are only half secure, we are not secure at all. So this is the concept you need to understand. So in Pakistan, if you apply, Pakistan is insecure when it comes to traditional security, and it is insecure when it comes to non-traditional security, because in traditional security, we are not at peace with India. We are only enjoying negative peace, which is the absence of war. But do we have cordial relation with India? No, we don't have cordial relations. Do we have people-to-people interaction? No, we don't have people-to-people interaction. Are we enjoying good trade? No, we are not enjoying good trade. The potential between India and Pakistan is $35 billion of trade, but our current trade is not more than $2 or $3 billion. So this is something which you need to understand, that partial security is not security at all. You need to have full-fledged security. One reason it is important to specify the degree of security a country has or seeks is that absolute security is unattainable. You cannot achieve 100% security from threats at home or threats from other states. Buzan recognizes this, but treats it as logical problem arising from the essentially contested nature of security as a concept. For example, the United States of America might be secure at global level. The countries, other states, for example, North Korea, China, like for example, Russia, they may not attack United States of America, but non-state actors, they did carry out attack against America. So can we call America a secure state? No, they are not a secure state, because they are facing many threats, security threats, and it is not necessarily that if they are not facing any threat traditionally, but non-traditionally they are facing many challenges, and they are facing these challenges. Security from what threats? That is also a question in this sphere. Those who use the term security usually have in mind particular kind of threats. Home security systems, for example, are usually directed at potential burglars. National security systems are directed at other states, for example. So the states, they feel insecurity from other states, their neighbors, for example, or their extra regional powers who try to undermine security of that particular state. So you need to understand this particular concept as well. Since states to acquire values can arise from many sources, it is helpful if this dimension is clearly specified. Like for example, Pakistan is facing multiple challenges from India in the shape of direct attacks, for example, 1965 war, 1971 war, previously, Kashmir war, and then when Pakistan acquired nuclear weapons, then India carried out, surgical strikes against Pakistan after the Pulwama attacks. So the nature of threats is changing with the changing passage of time, and Pakistan is facing these national security threats. So national security from what threats? For example, vague references to communist threat to national security during the Cold War often failed to specify whether they refer to ideological threats, economic threats, military threats, or some combination of therefore. It was not clear that what type of threats America is facing from the Soviet Union, whether it was ideological threat or economic rise of Soviet Union or military threats, for example. It was not clear at that time. So if we analyze the expansion of communism during Cold War, you need to understand whether it was a traditional security threat or non-traditional security threat. It was an ideological threat, it was an economic threat, military threat, or combination of these threats. So it was a mixture of all these. The Americans, the Europeans, they feared the rise of Soviet Union, and that's why they wanted to curtail the influence of Soviet Union with their military capabilities and others. North